folks, coming up next on Roland Unfiltered, Dream Defenders under attack in Florida. Ron DeSantis, of course, who is opposing Andrew Gillum, is attacking the Dream Defenders and trying to call them a radical organization. Speaking of Andrew Gillum, he is on a tear all across Florida. Latest poll shows are up by 5 points, and we'll break down the latest in that race as well. Plus, Sheriff David Clark, he supposedly wants to do media to talk about the midterm elections. So why is he afraid of coming on this show? Wait until I tell you what transpired today. Also, right-winger Jack Berkman is trying to slime Robert Mueller by paying off women to make up sexual assault allegations. Also, Etan Thomas, former NBA star, is here. We'll talk about his new book, and we'll also be talking about Eric Reid having some choice words for Malcolm Jenkins. Wait till you see that video as well. Plus, another crazy-ass white woman losing her damn mind against somebody black, and guess what? Her broke ass now out of a job. It's time to bring the funk. Roland Martin Unfiltered. Let's go.
Whatever the biz, he's on it. Whatever it is, he's got the scoop, the fact, the find. And when it breaks, he's right on time and it's rolling. Best believe he's knowing. Putting it down from sports to news to politics. With entertainment just for kicks, he's rolling. It's on go, roll, y'all. It's Roland Martin, yeah. Rolling with Roland now. He's funky, he's fresh, he's real, the best, you know he's Roland Martin now. Martin.
All right, folks, Election Day is 1 week away. Folks will be going to the polls on November 6th, electing folks, obviously, for U.S. Senate, for House, for Governor, for Congress, and, of course, also the statewide seats plus local seats as well. And so, as you can expect when it comes to the campaign going down to the wire, all types of attacks taking place, and one has been taking place against the Florida Dream Defenders. Ron DeSantis, who is running against Andrew Gillum to be the next governor of Florida, he, of course, has been attacking Andrew Gillum for his ties to the Dream Defenders. They've been called a hate group. Even Vice President Pence has called them dangerous. And also Trump doing his thing as well. And so earlier today, Henry, you see my iPad? Okay, all right, so hopefully they're trying to get it. Okay, so here's the deal. I got this email a little bit earlier today from Philip Agnew, of course, co-founder of the Dream Defenders. Go to my iPad, please, Henry. And this is what they have been saying. In Florida, straight out of the same playbook, GOP gubernatorial candidate Ron DeSantis is running a vicious campaign based on lies, fear, and bigotry. With no plan and zero vision, he is using the governor's race to attack the Dream Defenders, an organization of young, black, brown, immigrant, and white working-class Floridians with a visionary plan for the future of the state. He is spreading lies about who they are and what they are fighting for. Now, of course, folks, the Dream Defenders were founded 6 years ago in the aftermath of the death of Trayvon Martin. Joining us right now is Philip Agnew. He is a co-founder of the Dream Defenders. He, of course, sent this email out. He is my Alpha fraternity brother, and so I reached out to him to have him on the show to talk about this here. Philip, how you doing?
You know, I'm doing great. You know, I appreciate always you having us on, and this has been an interesting year, and we have about one more week to bring it home, but these attacks have been laughable, and they've gotten more extreme as the weeks have gone by.
And when you talk about those attacks, again, they are attacking you guys because of your support for Palestinians, but they're saying there's all kind of unbelievable, crazy stuff, making you guys out to be like a terrorist organization.
Exactly. You know, this stuff started when Ron DeSantis won the nomination. You'll remember the evening of his victory of the Republican nomination, he was quoted as saying to Floridians, let's not monkey this up by voting for the first black nominee for governor in the history of the state of Florida. And so this is just in a series of accusations of racist dog whistles that he's used from the beginning to demean, to mislead voters, because frankly, listen, he has no plan. And we said that before, and it's not just conjecture or political rhetoric. He literally has not presented a plan for how people in Florida are going to eat, have health care, have transportation. All he's talked about is the environment, and his plan around the environment is lackluster. And so he's attacked us every moment he can get. We were in his opening statement in the second debate. And he's also been using this to deflect away from the fact that he's got a number of confirmed relationships with known racists, known anti-Semites on his end. And so, using a group as a proxy kind of pinata instead of being able to engage with the candidate, Andrew Gillum, on the terms of a platform and on policy, he's decided to just continue in the Republican playbook or the right-wing playbook we've seen nationally.
Yeah, I get the impression the Dream Defenders are as more important as important as the NRA, the way Ron DeSantis keeps going after y'all.
Hey, listen, I wish we had that level of influence over our politicians that the NRA and the companies that have been supporting Ron DeSantis' campaign have. He's supported by the GEO Group private prison companies. He's supported by a number of corporations, Florida Power and Light, around the state. And so, you would think that we were actually running. But what we've been saying, Roland, is that we have a platform. It's not just visionary. It's not just polemics. It's not just broad overtures. This is actually a plan for what the future of the state of Florida could and should look like if it didn't give away all its money to corporations and to billionaires and actually invested in the lives and the livelihood of people in Florida. And so it's been Florida, this, has been a punchline and a playground for many, many decades for people around the country. And we've got the opportunity, not just in the candidate that we have running on the Democratic side, Andrew Gillum, but also in the organizing that has happened in the past few years since 2012 and beyond. And this rising generation of people voting want different things, they demand different things, and they're not going to tolerate other things.
So what is going to happen over the next week? Obviously, they're coming after your organization. How are your other members responding? Have you seen an uptick in folks even donating to the Dream Defenders under this vicious attack?
We have. People have been going to the website. They've been getting educated about the Freedom Papers, which is our vision. We've gotten, of course, you've got the right-wing trolls and bots on social media. But the fact is, this, when you're in the streets, when you're doing work, when people know you personally, you're not swayed by things that you see on television. And so over the next week, we're going to continue to do what we've done for the last 6 years, knock on doors, throw educational event this evening in Miami where we're going through all of the ballot amendments. This hasn't gotten as much attention on the national level, but this is going to be one of the longest ballots in the history of the state of Florida. We've got amendments, including Amendment 4, which is going to return the right to vote to 1.4 million people who have had that right stolen by the state of Florida because they had a felony conviction. And so this is, in many ways, the most important election in many of this generation's Florida lives. And so we're going to continue to work. We're going to win. We're going to continue to do the work of making sure that after November 6th, the people that we elect and the policies that we vote for are enacted and are held accountable. And, we encourage people to continue to go to the website, dreamdefenders.org, to learn about what we stand for and to ask questions about our stances.
All right, then. Philip Agnew, we appreciate it, brother. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much, always. All
right, then. Of course, also, folks, Donald Trump yesterday trashed Andrew Gillum by saying that Ron DeSantis, of course, is a Harvard and Yale graduate. Then he decided to say the Florida A&M graduate did name FAMU, but that Andrew Gillum was a thief. Well, last night on Fox, he went on Laura Ingram's show and said this.
Called Andrew Gillum, you referenced him being a thief. What did you mean by that?
Well, the FBI offered him tickets at $1,800 apiece, and he took them. He took a trip with the same FBI agent. I guess he was posing as a developer or something. The man stone cold took this stuff. I don't even think he should be allowed to continue on with the race.
He responded today by calling you weak. You're howling because you're weak. That's what he said in a tweet.
I haven't heard that one lately. That's okay. Good. That's a change of pace. Look, here's a guy that, in my opinion, is a stone cold thief. And his city, Tallahassee, is known as the most corrupt in Florida and one of the most corrupt in the nation. He's a disaster, and how he's even close to being tied is hard to believe. But Florida can't have. If Florida has a governor like that, and I know Florida better than I know practically anywhere, Florida will become Venezuela. It will be a disaster. And you have Ron DeSantis, who is a Harvard, Yale guy. He's had a really terrific, he's a very good person. He's going to be a very good to a great governor. This other guy is a stone cold. In my opinion, he's a thief. How can you have a guy like this? And you just look at his record. Also, look at the job he's done as the mayor of Tallahassee. He's a total disaster.
Stone cold thief. The person who's calling Andrew Gillum a stone cold thief is the same person who used his own foundation to buy a portrait of himself with foundation money because wouldn't nobody else buy it. That's a stone cold thief. The same person calling Andrew Gillum a stone cold thief is the same person the New York Times laid out at pretty much him and his daddy were tax cheats for all of these years when it came to their money. The stone cold thief, really? Because he took some tickets from the FBI. Allegedly, that's what you're saying? Let me help you out with something, Donald Trump. They've already said Andrew Gillum is not a target for the investigation happening in Tallahassee. That's called a fact. That's a F-A-C-T. I know it's a little hard for you because you lie more than anybody else who's sat in the Oval Office. But the reality is you straight lied. Ron DeSantis, great guy. Did he not keep the money from a dude who called Obama a Muslim nigga? Didn't get the money back. But he's a great guy because he went to Harvard and Yale. Yeah, I know a whole bunch of bigots who went to Harvard and Yale, Donald. But it's amazing how you also want to attack them when last I checked, crime rate was down in Tallahassee. So, but you know Florida better than anybody else. So you know Florida better than anybody else. You know New York better than anybody else. You know Chicago better than anybody else. So you just know America better than anybody else. And then you kept saying, in my opinion. Let me remind you, Donald Trump, in your opinion, you said the Central Park Five should get the death penalty if they were convicted. They were later exonerated. And you refused to even take that back or apologize for what you had to say. Really, bro? And then you talking Laura Ingraham. We know, hell, she lying all the time, too. Did she pay that bill with USA Today for her website? Because, they actually, Associated Press, they owed them for the articles and stuff. I just want to make sure that they paid their bill. Bottom line is we have a president who is weak, who is scared, and who also can't even look at something that's a fact and not distort it or lie about it. All right, let's talk to our panel right now. Y'all ready for this here? Okay. I know they can't wait to get into it. Right. They can't wait to get into it. Joining us, Derek Holly, President, Reaching America, host of Reaching America, an on-demand podcast. And I know he just shake his head, being a black conservative. He's like, damn it, why that man got to keep talking? Teresa Lundy, Principal, TML Communications. Spencer Overton, President, Joint Center for Political and Economic Studies. And Etan Thomas, former NBA player, author of the book We Matter, Athletes and Activism. Derek, what the hell? What the hell? First of all, call him a thief, and I love the whole juxtaposition. Ron DeSantis, Harvard and Yale, and then this other guy. As if Florida A&M is an irrelevant university.
Right. And it's unfortunate, that the president is offering opinion on this particular guy. But it's also unfortunate that anybody who runs for an office right now, your entire career, whatever you've done, is put on display. And even something as small as, getting some tickets, Jay-Z, Hamilton, whatever they were, comes out right now. And so I can't go along with what the president said, okay? And so it's just unfortunate that things have gotten to this point that the president even talks like this for a candidate, a potential candidate in Florida.
This, Roland, is just a racist dog whistle, right? You remember Maxine Waters had a low IQ, he said. Oh, Andrew Gillum is a thief and is corrupt. The person who can't stand up to the Saudis and the Russians because of his business interests, of course, he's not corrupt, right? The person who can't reveal his taxes, he's not a thief, he is not corrupt. Black folks need to get out and vote. That's the end of the day. Black folks need to vote.
Hey, Henry, hold on one second, Teresa. Here we go to my iPad. Here's Andrew Gillum's response. P.S. Mr. Real Donald Trump, I'm a graduate of the Florida Agricultural Mechanical University, FAMU, and HBCU, founded on October 3rd, 1887. Google it.
Wow.
Period on that. So I think this is another example where it shows how disconnected the president is with not only the candidates that's running, but to the states that he represents. So, Roland, you brought up the fact that Trump and his tax corruption, and amongst other things, if we go into the Trump Foundation and the organization.
We'll be here for the next 5, 6, 7
and we ain't got that
days.
much time because we want people to go out to vote. And I think, again, when we see that correlation and, we try to ask ourselves, Trump, I feel like they give him 2 talking points before he goes out on set and he just runs with it. But I'm like, well, if you're upset with Andrew Gillum accepting tickets, I feel like then you guys have something in common. If he allegedly did it, right? Because it's essentially the status quo is, hey, if corruption is listed, you're president, but we all know it's alleged, and they had to find something. Because remember, this didn't happen in the beginning when Gillum was running. This had to happen now.
Of course.
Where, again, Trump is like, wait a minute, I got to step in and see exactly what I can do.
And they also lied by saying, Spencer, that it's tied when, in fact, Gillum was up 5 points.
Yeah,
go ahead.
He's up 5 points, and he is connected. He knows what his white wing base wants, right? And they want to call a black candidate a thief and corrupt, right? He knows how to play right into that.
Etan.
Well, I think it's obvious. He's going to demonize the Andrew Gillum as much as he possibly can, and he knows that he's playing to his base. His base doesn't care about all the corrupt things that he's done. They don't care. They already know that.
Hell, they also don't care about the truth.
Yeah.
I mean, you have polls where they say, yeah, we know he lying, but.
Yes, they don't care. They're going to support him anyway, almost like a cultist following that he has. I mean, of course, when he brags, he can shoot somebody in the middle of, whatever street and not lose any followers. That's the actual truth. So that's why it's important for us to get out and vote, because they're going to go out and vote. And no matter what dirt we bring on Trump, you know what I mean? They already know. They don't care. They're going to vote for him anyway.
Well, I'll tell you what is pretty crazy there. We're going to get more into this, folks. Of course, also hitting the campaign trail in Florida this week will be former President Barack Obama. He'll be campaigning on November 2nd for Andrew Gillum, but also for Bill Nelson, who's running for the United States Senate against the governor, Rick Scott. So that'll take place. And he'll also, of course, he'll be in Georgia as well for Stacey Abrams. Now, also, check this out, folks. Here's a picture of Brian Kemp. Brian Kemp is the guy who's running against Stacey Abrams. He took a photo with this white supremacist named James Stakowiak. He's a multiple convicted felon, and there are videos instructing people to shoot black people in the back.
Wow. Wow.
Press play.
Milwaukee. I was watching the news footage this morning. What did I see? I saw women and children, okay? And I'm going to tell you, people, that I don't care if they're women or children, anyone coming out of the store should be shot on sight. They should be shot exiting the store. If they make it down the street, just take their asses out and shoot them in the back. That's right. And here's another answer to the bitches, losers, and maggots known as BLM. You want to see this is the solution to BLM. Okay? And BLM, I got a round with your name on it. And you know what? Try to burn my home. Try to burn my business.
Brian Kemp has never disavowed this racist or his organization, the Nationalist Liberty Union. Derek, you want to jump in? I saw you lean in first with the shirt he had on, Black Lives Matter, giving him the finger.
Yeah, I saw that. And Roland, all I can say, man, it's just, right now, our country is at a place that I don't think we've ever seen it before. And
Yes, we have.
History repeats itself.
Yeah, we've been here before.
We've been, well, you know what? I think with social media and what we're able to see right there, it just brings it to us much faster.
Oh, yeah.
At a much faster rate. And you see things like that, and there's no place for it, for real. I mean, how you have a bullet with somebody's name on it?
That's called a threat.
Yeah,
It is.
That is a threat.
That's a threat.
Now, has anything been done about it?
And especially after we now know that this pipe bomber dude, not only did he send 12 devices to political figures, he had a list of more than 100 people that he had researched and gotten their addresses and planned on targeting them as well. And that list includes activists, journalists, and other folks. That's happening right now in this country.
And he's not the only one. And so for me, yes, the fear tactic is out, and so, I wonder how many other people is like-minded the way he's actually interpreting how lives matter to him, because they don't. Brown lives don't matter, our lives don't matter, and I'm wondering, essentially what is our government going to do about it?
But at the same time, Roland, I will say that the rhetoric, that right there, it's on both sides. There's a Republican guy who's running for an office right now, and he's got 5 kids, and they threatened to shoot all 5 of that man's kids.
Who?
I knew you were going to call me.
Of course I was going to ask you that.
I pulled it up in the break.
Of course I was going to ask you that.
He's a candidate running. They said they want to shoot all 5 of his kids. And so, I say that because I do hear it from both sides.
Well, I mean, I'll tell you what, I hear a hell of a lot more from the GOP side. You got a Congressman Duncan Hunter who is running one of the most racist campaign in the country right now, where he has literally called his Democratic terrorist, this Democratic opponent who's a Muslim, you vote for him, you are electing a terrorist. That's what he said. And this guy, of course, Republican leadership has not disavowed him as well. And speaking of that, folks, Steve King of Iowa made a comment. Of course, he's endorsed these white nationalists in Austria and actually said that if they were in the United States, they would be Republicans. This is the same Steve King, of course, Republican from Iowa, who has made all kind of racist comments in the past. And he also endorsed the white nationalist who's running for mayor in Toronto. Crazy. But check this out. And so many folks went after Steve King. Then it was discovered that companies like AT&T, Purina, Berkshire Hathaway, and others actually gave money to the campaign of Steve King. Well, Purina announced a couple of hours ago that their political action committee is withdrawing their funds from and will no longer fund Steve King. He's running in Iowa. He's actually his neck and neck. He's up 1 point against the Democratic challenger, which is also shocking there. And of course, many people have challenged Republicans to call him out. Well, one Republican finally did with the National Republican Congressional Committee. Pull the tweet up, please. You actually see this here. Steve Stivers, Congressman Steve King's recent comments, actions, and retweets are completely inappropriate. We must stand up against white supremacy and hate in all forms, and I strongly condemn this behavior. Guess who has not said a word? Paul Ryan, the Speaker of the House, or Mitch McConnell, of course, the Senate Majority Leader, and other Republicans in leadership. Going to you, Etan, then Spencer. Again, luckily this guy says something. I will appreciate that. But Steve King has been a known racist in the Republican Party for a very long time. The racist comments that he has made are quite consistent, and he has no problem making white supremacist statements.
Well, everything is documented. I mean, you can't go into the falsehood to say that they didn't know, or before they say, well, what has Trump said that was racist? Who does he support that is racist? Well, everything is documented, but you're supporting him anyway. Right now, nothing that Trump says surprises me. He is exactly who we thought he was. Right.
I agree.
But what surprises me is the number of people who are still supporting him. Right. That does surprise me.
No, it does surprise me.
Well, the reason why is because we were supposed to be moving away from all of this. America was supposed to be changing, and it actually has gotten worse since Trump has taken office. The number of white supremacists that have been documented has gone up since Trump took office. Everything has gone up. Everything has been worse. So now you have a polarizing, figure with Donald Trump that stands in front of the entire world and says he's a nationalist. There's no more excuses right now. You know exactly who he is. So if you are supporting Trump, this is exactly what you're supporting.
And Derek, I need to push back on you here in terms of this notion of kind of both sides, right? we're not talking about just framing racial language here. We're talking about violence here. You know, a bullet with somebody's name on it. We see these pipe bombs across the country. We see this a synagogue being shot up here, right? And from the top, we've got.
I don't think you put the synagogue into this because there were shootings under the last administration too.
No, hold on. With the synagogue, it was a hate crime. It was a hate crime. That guy, I'm sorry, was a little.
I think it was a hate crime for the shooting in the South Carolina church shooting. That was a hate crime too.
Oh, that was a 15. No, I think that's right. But you certainly didn't have a president who said, you know, this is an okay environment and it's fine to throw a.
No. He created an environment.
He creates an environment when he says, hey, you can slam anybody who slams a journalist like this is okay by me. You didn't hear that from the past president. You didn't hear this kind of macho, physical piece. Oh, there are bad people on either side. No, you'd have a president who'd say, hey, this is evil. This is wrong. Who would step up to the plate.
I think we have, you know, in past presidencies, we've had conservative presidents, you know, where that type of rhetoric and that type of negative energy was not spoken of. So I think, you know, right now we have, you know, a president who's pretty much outwardly saying, you know, I disavow this. This is unwanted. This is what's expected. I am with the nationalists. I am with also prosperity. Basically, we have a president that's showing he is the American dream, and you know, and he shows that through his finances. He shows that through his wealth, and now he's showing that through strength and power. But what I don't, for me personally, I don't care for how he's actually portraying what power looks like, and as he compares it to other countries. So I mean, U.S. is its own, right? We have our own, you know. Peace. I mean, you know.
Bad things are going to happen. The question is, what is the response to it, right?
Agreed.
Is there leadership in terms of responding to things, in terms of calling out what's bad and improper, in terms of violence, that kind of thing, right? But then also trying to create an environment where folks can come together and move forward together. And we don't see that right now in terms of 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue.
Here's the thing. Now, I don't dispute anything you guys are saying. I don't. However, when you travel in different circles, there are people, believe it or not, in this country who believe that man is doing a great job. And so when you look outside of urban cities, Washington, D.C., Atlanta, Chicago, New York, the rest of the country sees things a lot different than what we do.
Right.
And it's unfortunate in some cases. But that's where we are right now with this guy. And I had the opportunity to participate in a town hall forum in Baltimore a couple of weeks ago that was put on by Ozzy.com. And they're going to do these forums, town hall meetings in several countries, several cities.
It's Carlos Watson?
Carlos Watson.
Right.
And so in Baltimore, it was 100 black men.
Right.
And so one of the panelists was his Raj Torres, the guy who founded Black Guns Matter. And the question came to him was, is the American dream still alive, and are you optimistic that it is?
Right.
And he had a very interesting answer. And he said, I'm not optimistic. He said, but what I am, I'm strategic about what's going on right now. And he was strategic in terms of finding that organization under this administration. Now, we've got 2 more years, at least 2 more years of this guy, and possibly 6. And I think right now we all need to be strategic in how we maneuver with this administration, because it is what it is right now. And we can sit up here and talk about all the things that are going wrong, and there are a lot of things going wrong that we don't agree with. But at the same time, what are we going to do about it? And how do we maneuver through this administration and everything that's going on right now?
Well, I think there's a lot that we can actually do about it. I mean, I don't think you're kind of painting a picture as if we're kind of helpless.
No, not to paint that at all. I don't mean that to imply that at all.
This is what you have to be able to call it what it is. I mean, now I had a glimmer of hope for a second that maybe he would show a sign that was a human side. You know, after the pipe bombs were sent to past presidents.
A couple people said
I had a glimmer of hope to think that he would come out and he would say that this was wrong, and then take responsibility to say that maybe I need to push back and about of my rhetoric and my atmosphere that I created. No, he did not. He attacked the media. He attacked the Democrats. He pointed the finger at everybody else except for himself.
Right. And this is getting in the way of campaigning. Right? Like, hey, we've only got a finite amount of time before. Again, it's about me and my agenda as opposed to, hey, what's the nation need? I'm the leader of this nation. Let me step up to the plate and provide some leadership in terms of the nation.
Yeah. And I agree. I agree with you guys. Okay, like I said, but then again, there's another huge part of America that thinks it's got.
So what is that strategic portion
strategic
that you
for you? What's strategic for you? How can you maneuver within this administration, and what's best for you? Because here's the thing, ain't nothing going to change right now. Even with midterms, we got midterms coming up.
Things could change
midterms coming up right
week.
now, and so that will determine a lot.
Right.
And so polls are saying both sides. So it's going to be interesting, and I would encourage everyone to get out and vote. Everyone to get out and vote, regardless of who you're voting for.
Right.
I agree.
So.
No, I think that is right, but I think there's this other piece, which is you can't just go along with the show in terms of the guy has been inconsistent and he has lacked kind of moral clarity and vision here, right? And it hasn't been about the country. It's been about, the Saudi piece. This government is going to kill somebody in their own embassy, and you're going to hem and holler, and you can't step up to the plate and say that's a problem.
Well, you can also talk about the caravan, what's happening right now. Again, this is fear. This is fear being used to, I think, gin up the base of Donald Trump. And that's what you have here. I mean, first of all, the folks they're not even at the U.S. border. They're at the Guatemalan-Mexico border.
They're making
and so then you have folks going on Fox News. They're going on Fox News and they're saying, they're carrying disease and they're bringing smallpox and all this. First of all, there are people literally sitting in television studios in New York saying what people are carrying in the caravan, no idea, no facts whatsoever. And again, it's speaking to fear.
Right. And there's some Muslims mixed in there, too.
And in fact, last night, Trump, this came up last night when Trump was talking to Laura Ingraham. Press play.
When you look at that caravan and you look largely, very, big percentage of men, young, strong, a lot of bad people in there, people that are in gangs.
The New York Times is saying the military, Mr. President, being called up by you is an election year play. Is this politics or is this real?
When you look at that, thousands of people. Somebody said, now on that one they build it down. I'm pretty good at figuring out how many people. Thousands and thousands of people on the bridge. When you looked at that bridge loaded up with people, that's called an invasion of our country.
All right, folks. And here's the piece. The military, the only action they can take is logistics. They literally are limited to what they can do.
But the thing about it is, I think it would be foolish on our part to believe that every American is in agreement that these people should enter in this country.
No. That's not. No, but what you have here, though, you have this, it's the fear. It's also him coming out saying that he has the right with an executive order to somehow just change the U.S. Constitution. Even Paul Ryan.
We know he can't do that.
No. But the fact that you're the president and you're saying it and goes, no, my White House counsel told me I can, and I'm going to sign it. Again,
executive order, though. He can do it with an executive order.
No, he can't.
He can't change the Constitution, but he can have an executive order.
No, he can't. No.
Can't do that.
The Constitution doesn't allow him to have an executive order, but not one that's not constitutional.
Right. So, maybe we're mixing. I'm saying he can do an executive order, but it won't be constitutional.
Hold on just a second, right?
It won't be constitutional.
We have this 14th Amendment, right? It says if you're born here, you're a U.S. citizen. You know why they had to have that?
For black people.
For black people. That's absolutely right. After the Civil War, we're afraid that all these states will not allow black folks to be U.S. citizens here, right? Because, hey, you're not real. And so if you're born here in the United States, you are a U.S. citizen. So he's trying to take that away, not by going to Congress, but by an executive order that he signs.
So we're supposed to there are 4 more caravans forming right now. 4 more forming right now.
Right.
So are we supposed to just say, hey, come on in?
No, nobody said that. We said that this is about a fear-mongering, this notion of you're protected, white folk, we're going to get your guns,
should we let these people
and we're going to protect you from these black folks who want life and want to talk back to police.
There's a process we have for people who congregate at the border.
Law.
Yeah,
Look,
it's not like the
guys,
floodgates are just
look,
opening
in
up. There's a
2012, 2008, 2012, Democrats ran on immigration. Matter of fact, President Trump tweeted last week that he was in agreement with President Obama, at the time he was Senator Obama's immigration policy, because he said that we cannot continue to allow undocumented immigrants to enter into this country.
But there's a difference between, there's a process for folks who are coming to the border.
So let's follow the process.
Then the fear mongering that we're seeing, they're bringing disease. They're taking over. You got these white women who are saying, "Oh my God, they're going to be taking over our summer homes in Minnesota."
Guys, I don't dispute the fear factor.
But again, but the fear factor is a part of the political game, and what I'm saying is not sane, it's not logical, and what it is, and let's cut to the chase. This is really what he's saying. Hey, them brown people coming. They coming to take the place of all these white folks. They gonna kill you. They gonna take your children. They gonna take your job. That's exactly what they're saying.
Right.
And black people are very familiar with white fear.
I hear you. I hear everything you're saying, Roland, but, you know, my wife, who couldn't be more anti-Trump, okay, she went to church Sunday with her sisters and her mom. It was some kind of Women's Day kind of thing, October. So after church, it was her and 7 other black women standing around, and they were talking about the caravan. And so it was interesting because she came home and shared it with me. She's like, every last one of those women who ain't no Donald Trump fan all agreed that something has to be done about this caravan.
Yes.
Enter into this country.
And when you say something has to be done, guess what's going to happen?
The process, follow the process.
They're going to get to the border. There's going to be a process. Yes, that's already there. When we say something has to be done, we act as if there's no process. They're just going to come rushing in, and it's just like, oh my God, they're going to just be running around, and I'm going to go to New Mexico, and I'm going to go to Texas,
but when they get
I'm going to go to Illinois.
They get here to go through the process, and then they have to go back to court. And then what happens in the time when they're supposed to come back? They don't show, so they're here.
Okay, first of all, they will likely be detained. First of all, they're not going to come.
They can't detain them until citizenship or whatever.
They're not going to come into the country and then just sort of just go wherever. Okay. No, that's not how that works.
Yes, I know that.
That's not how it works. And so, but again, it's fear that's driving you. All right, folks, hold tight one second. Second, we come back, we're going to talk about fear of people like David Clark. Scared of black people like me. We got some other stories we're going to talk about. We're going to go to a break right now. So we'll be back at Roland Bar down the field in just a moment.
In a racially divided society, majority rule may become majority tyranny. Law professor Lonnie Guinier.
First off, HBCU Giving Day is school today, St. Augustine's University. Of course, I'm rocking the hoodie. This is what I was given. My Alpha General President, Dr. Ward, is the president of St. Augustine's. And so when I was there speaking on the campus a couple of years ago, they gave me this, located in Raleigh, North Carolina, established in 1867 by the Episcopal clergy for the education of freed slaves. And some of their greatest graduates, Anna Julia Cooper, writer, educator, one of the first African-American women to receive a PhD, and Henry Beard Delaney, the first African-American Episcopal bishop. And so please support, pull the graphic right there, St. Augustine's University, www.st-aug.edu. And so, Dr. Ward, y'all get a shout out. That's why I'm rocking the hoodie. Normally I wear HBCU gear on Monday, but since we were out of studio yesterday, I pushed it to Tuesday, so we do it every single Monday. And of course, we do HBCU Giving Day every single day. And if you're a graduate of St. Augustine, send a check. Don't be walking around in your hoodies and your hats and you ain't sent no money back. for the next student. Also, folks, so that's right now. I want to thank one of our newest supporters. I'm going to talk to you about right now. If you're looking for a hot new investment opportunity, I have two things I want you to think about: legal marijuana and crowdfunding. Now, you just let that sink in for a second. Our friends at Transatlantic Real Estate have created a unique opportunity for everyday investors like you to get in the game for as little as $300. Typically, it takes millions or billions to invest in the legal marijuana industry. Some folks, we're going to leave that alone. But and it can be pretty risky trying to establish market share. However, Transatlantic Real Estate is taking a different approach. They buy the land that supports marijuana grow operations and lease it to licensed, high-paying tenants. Now imagine being a landlord to licensed marijuana farm with the prospect of further legalization and changing public perceptions about marijuana. Some investors could end up making serious money over the next few years in this multi-billion-dollar industry. The best part is they're using crowdfunding, so you can get in now before they take the company public. If you want more information, go to marijuanastock.org. That's marijuanastock.org. So check them out and you can get in now. So we'll, of course, see what happens. And, of course, we'll also be covering a lot more of that issue because more African Americans are also getting in that business as well. All right, y'all. So, look, we're on this show. We talk to all kinds of black people. We're not afraid of any subject. And so I get a kick out of these crazy, deranged black conservatives, not like Derek, but the other folks who are afraid that I'm going to bite them because, you know, it's just too hard. So check this out. So today I got this email from Maria Sliwa. And so she has a PR agency. And so this was the email, y'all. Pull it up. America's sheriff and straight talker David Clark is available to comment on the midterms. All right, let's talk. So I said, Jackie, send him an email. So Jackie, our booker, sent him an email and they said, oh, no. David Clark, he prefers talking to conservative media. Bruh, what you scared of? Now, y'all, first of all, the email came to me. Don't send me an email saying you want to talk to me about the midterms, and then when it's a brother, you don't want to talk. So then I went on Twitter and said, here's David Clark being a snowflake. And then he's like, oh, there's Roland Martin being a lib, calling people names. Y'all, he calls people names all day, every day. Etan, I just love the crazy folk. First of all, he all had no cattle.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
Because somebody tweeted he a rhinestone cowboy. That was pretty damn funny. But what gets me is, I've had him on the show twice before. Yeah. He goes, I prefer having discussions about facts, and about research, like plagiarizing your thesis. Fact. But what kills me is, this is sort of like Candace Owens and the rest of these folks who want to run their mouths trashing black people, but they don't want to come talk to black people.
Mm-hmm. Well, they want to go where they're celebrated, and they're celebrated on Fox News. I mean, that's why it...
And Fox News won't even call me.
Of course they're not. They don't want you.
Matter of fact, they'll call all four of y'all before they call me. They're like, nah, we ain't calling that brother.
Right, they want certain type of black people who they could point to and say, see, he agrees with us. And it's so disheartening seeing black person after black person fall for that. You know what I mean? Because you look at Candace Owens, you look at Jason Whitlock, who I watched your interview, and you see that it looks like he's auditioning for Fox News. and you know
he's on Fox Sports 1.
Yeah, but they want to. He's auditioning. He has a spot on Fox News after he finishes with FS1. And the thing about it is, they don't understand how they're playing themselves. I question if they even believe everything that they say, or that they know that there's the audience who will pay them to do what they're doing, which is even worse.
And Spencer, what kills me is I would dare say that I have more black conservatives on this show than even Fox News. I'm talking about on a consistent basis.
So now, I'm going to defend Sheriff Clark.
Uh-oh.
Right? I'm going to defend Sheriff Clark. Because I remember the time where we were in the studio and it wasn't a plan for him to be on. And you were able to get him in the studio. And he came in and you kind of lit it up.
No, actually, no. Actually, I was nice that day. that wasn't even like hitting them with with a fire poker. No, I backed off that day, and folks were like, Roland, you went easy on a brother. But see, here's my biggest deal. So I appreciate whether it's Derek, whether it's Malik, whether it's Shannon, whether it's Brandon, Eugene, a whole bunch of black conservatives who say, no, if we gonna talk, and it's gonna be a family conversation,
Let's be part of the conversation, right.
But see, my issue with the folks like David Clark and Candace Owens and some of these other fools, they are in a sense dancing in front of white people.
No question.
Yeah.
And see, that's my issue.
Right.
See, don't tell me you trying to reach black people, but you won't talk to black people.
Yeah, right.
Just like Donald Trump.
Right.
Donald Trump has lied. Laura Ingraham asked him, is he going to have any inner city rallies? What that means is, are you going to go talk to black people? He goes, yeah, they're on the schedule. We called and checked. No, it's not. He has no intentions of talking to black people. He loves talking about black people
Right.
to white people.
Right.
But he won't come talk to black people. He won't sit down for interviews with black people. He won't sit down with black-owned media.
Yeah.
He won't have these conversations.
But he did talk
And
to
that's-
Kanye, though, didn't he?
Yeah, he talked to Kanye, right. Him and Jim Brown. And I think Jim knows he was there, maybe. But again, that's what you have it, Teresa. You have this game being played. And when I say to a Sheriff Clark, man up and walk in, have a debate. Because here's the piece. I ain't afraid of Fox News. I ain't afraid of Sean Hannity. I ain't afraid of Laura Ingraham. I'm not afraid of Martha McCallum, Tucker Carlson, Lou Dobbs, Kennedy, Outnumbered, all of them. The 5, the 7, the 9. It don't matter. Matter of fact, I got no problem that if it's 10 of them and just me, that's unfair for y'all.
I think Roland, you have to.
Bruce Lee.
Roland, you have to.
I'm going to be like Neo from the Matrix.
I'm ready. But Roland, you also have to understand where the media climate is. As you well know, when some of the black community, when we listen to, the show and the podcast, we know we can go to Roland Martin's show and we can hear facts, right? We can hear history, we can hear significance. And I think, again, when Etan was talking about the celebration of African Americans, that's why Candace Owens and some of those other characters go on Fox News and they're talking the way they are, which it looks like they're dancing. It's because that they're one, yes, they are being financed, but two, even when I believe Candace came to Philadelphia, it's my hometown, and she was literally probably 2 blocks away from the hood when she had a bunch of people protesting her out of a restaurant, right? And she it literally looked like a dart, right? Didn't say anything, hiding and everything else, like, oh my God, I'm in almost the black community, what to do? First thing she did was go on Twitter, so I mean, but there was no, and it literally probably was like 5 people exiting her out the restaurant, so it wasn't even big.
She can't handle the heat, because outside the White House on Friday, she accused me of calling her Uncle Tom and Coon. That's why she blocked me. And I said, Candace, I blocked other people for using those words. In fact, when Umar Johnson was on my show on TV One,
that was good.
When he called Eugene Craig a coon, I said, oh hell no, you're not going to use racial slurs on my show against another black person.
Got it.
Not going to happen. And I said, Candace, show me the proof.
Right.
Show me the proof. I'm still waiting because she can't find the proof. But speaking of proof, now y'all know I try my best to avoid anything this dude say because we're gonna talk about this, which is gonna lead into Etan's book and Eric Reid. But guess who tweeting?
Who?
Y'all know Kanye back on Twitter, right?
Oh, great.
I thought it was off.
He's back.
Oh, he back. Pull his tweet up.
Oh, Lord.
I support those who. No, actually, I don't want to go that one. I'm going to go to this one here. I would like to thank my family, loved ones, and community for supporting my actual beliefs and my vision for a better world. Y'all ready for the next one?
Okay.
I introduced Candace to the person who made the logo, and they didn't want their name on it, so she used mine. I never wanted any association with Blexit. I have nothing to do with it. My eyes are now wide open, and I now realize I've been used to spread messages I don't believe in. I am distancing myself from politics and completely focusing on being creative.
Wow.
Now, Blexit, of course, is this this thing that Candace Owens come up with, saying that black people are going to be exiting the Democratic Party, and they have this. So she gave this so-called State of the Black Union speech on Saturday. But you're gonna love this one. She wrote something and put it in Breitbart. Oh yeah, a lot of black folks reading that one, and so they're trying to tie into Brexit. Of course, with England leaving the European Union, they're calling it Blexit. But clearly, Kanye is not happy how he's now being used. Hashtag Kanye, we tried to tell you. Etan?
I mean, what could you even say? I mean, we did all try to tell him, and it's sad. You know, sometimes I'll watch Kanye go on. I don't want to use the word rant, but I can't think of any other word.
It was a rant.
All right, I'll use rant.
Dog, when you go to the Apple store and stay on top of the table and you start ranting,
it's a rant. Right,
it's called a rant.
And I just look at him and I'm like, you know, I remember, I'm old enough to remember the old Kanye, the Kanye with Chicago, because he used to do all the beats for the conscious rappers. You know what I mean? I remember seeing him as a surrogate for President Obama at some of the events. He was a completely different person. Yeah. So I don't know what happened.
So let's just...
Life.
No, I can't blame him for that.
No.
I can't blame him for this.
Look, honestly here, I think he's going through a very tough time here. And, you know, there may be some medical issues that we don't necessarily know about or have all the details on. And so, you know, hopefully he's kind of getting help and he's moving through it.
But he's realizing how he got played. Right. And that's the whole deal here. And look, I have talked to, and I made this point because when Candace's group, they blocked us from getting a media credential. They approved us, then they said, oh, no, y'all weren't approved. Jason Johnson with The Root, same thing. And I emailed them back. I said, y'all realize I've interviewed every major black conservative in the last 25 years? And y'all don't want anybody covering your stuff because you don't want to be questioned. And all those young black conservatives, they were posting videos, and they were just spouting stuff, and literally, they didn't even know people like Arthur Fletcher, or folks like Bob Brown. They had no, for them, and this is the issue for me, and so here's the most offensive thing for me when I listen to the likes of a David Clark, a Candace Owens, a Larry Elder, a Jesse Lee Peterson, and folks Star Parker, Deneen Borelli, is that what they do is, and this is their game, and I want y'all to understand this here, this is their game. Their game is to trash black people. Their game is not public policy. Their game has nothing to do with issues. It's to say black people are stupid, or slaves, living on a plantation, dumb. Even those little young black conservatives at that summit, okay, which was actually a free summit, they flew them in and paid for their meals and their hotels, so it wasn't like it was a real conference. I hit them up, and you know what they said? Why are black folks voting Democrat? And I kept saying, what's your agenda? I said, if you were standing in a room full of black people, what's your agenda? Derek, they have none. They're not about substance. J.C. Watts, Elroy Saylor, Kay James, I can go down the line. Those are black conservatives, those are black Republicans who actually have substance, who you can talk to, who you might disagree with. Oh, yes. Kay, I sat down with Kay over summer for a 20-minute interview. JC's been on my show. Elroy's been the panelist on the show as well. Angela Saylor, his wife, has been on the show. Michael Williams. I can go down the line. Alan West. I can go down the line. Will, why is it escaping me? Congressman, come on, out of Texas. Will Hurd, okay? We've had them all on the show. Those are real black Republicans. These are folks who are following the entertainment of Trump.
Yeah, I think a lot of times, I've said this myself about some of them, you know, it's talking points. There is no substance. And so, hence me being here, because I believe in what I feel. So I do think I don't think Kanye, back to him, I don't think he can carry a message. Nothing whatsoever.
But it has nothing to do with message. What it has to do with Etan, it has to do with celebrity, and it's a game. That's what it has to do with. It has nothing to do with substance.
But it depends on what you're saying. And it doesn't mean that just because you're a celebrity, you can't have substance. And that's the part that I really disagreed with that Jason Whitlock kept saying in your interview of proposing it as if because you're a celebrity, because you're an athlete, you can't have substance. You can't know about this. This is like outside of your lane.
Which is why you wrote the book.
Of course.
We Matter, Athletes and Activism, because that is on point, because there's a history of black activists who were entertainers, who were sports figures. The reality is you can go down. Ossie Davis and Ruby Dee and Diane Carroll and Sidney Poitier and Dick Gregory and on and on and on. Harry Belafonte, artists who use their platforms to also be active. And you're right, that was the issue. The issue that I have most with Jason Whitlock is he says they're stupid, they're dumb, they're ignorant, they're not smart enough to know what they're talking about. When the fact of the matter is, no. You got cats who, when he said, "Oh, y'all is all of a sudden turning them into intellectual heavyweights." I mean, it was this whole. It literally was. He literally was the equivalent of just shut the hell up and play entertainment.
No, that's exactly what he said, and it was very demeaning. And, you know, it always hurts more to see somebody that looks like you on TV saying that. But that's kind of his shtick. That's how he gets on, and then he's been doing that for a while. And the issue isn't just having an opinion that differs from yours. You know what I mean? That's why you have conversations. That's why you have discussions, debates. There's nothing wrong with having a difference of opinion. So the reason why I wanted to put together this book was to show all of these athletes who are using their voices, current athletes, because like you pointed out, you know, people are often, you know, quick to say, well, there's no modern day Muhammad Ali.
Or Kareem or Jim Brown or whatever.
Right. But then when you do have somebody who does take a stand, then they criticize them for, like Jason Whitlock did. He's like, what, is he trying to be baby Malcolm X? As if that's an insult.
Right.
As if that is there's certain black people who would say to call somebody baby Malcolm X or Angela Davis would actually be an insult.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's not an insult.
And you talk to Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Bill Russell, Steve Kerr, Jamel Hill, Oscar Robertson, Dwayne Wade, Russell Westbrook, Michael Bennett, Carmelo Anthony, Soledad O'Brien, Chris Hayes, Tamika Catchings, and others as well. And what was the one thing that actually, I see Mark Cuban as well, what was the one thing that really stood out the most? Because you talked to black folks, white folks, media, sports, entertainment.
Right. I mean, one of the main things that stood out was, well, there was so much. So the way that, you know, I keep referring back to your conversation with Jason Whitlock, the demonization of Kaepernick. And the belittling of Kaepernick and the meaning of Kaepernick, like he had no idea what he was talking about. He had no, you know, and he kept saying, you know, I've spoken to different people and, you know, they said this and this about Kaepernick, and he has like identity issues and all these things trying to kind of kill the messenger because you disagree with the message. Well, I interviewed some of Kaepernick's teammates. I interviewed Eric Reid. I interviewed Torrey Smith, who was a teammate at the time. I interviewed Dr. Harry Edwards, and we know the history of Dr. Harry Edwards, but he was also his mentor on the team. And he's specifically telling why Kaepernick was taking a knee. And when you hear Eric Reid talking about how it hurt him to watch killing after killing happen, you know what I mean? And nothing being done. And that's what I wanted to do with the book, because you know this person took a knee, this person didn't like this person wore a t-shirt. Now I'm going to go deeper into why they wore the I Can't Breathe t-shirt.
And allow them to explain it, which a lot of media folks would not do, to listen to what they had to say. You talked about Eric Reid, of course, on Monday. Actually, it was a Sunday. After the game, some media asked Eric Reid his whole back and forth with Malcolm Jenkins. I can't wait to get y'all thoughts on this. And so this was the interview that took place after the game, where Eric Reid explained a week after his fight with Malcolm Jenkins why he called Malcolm Jenkins of the Philadelphia Eagles a sellout. Listen.
I can give some more clarity to why I believe he's a sellout if y'all got a minute to hear a story. Sure. Y'all remember that players' owners meeting in New York City? So we were brought in under the premise that the NFL wanted to use their resources to help the black community. We established within the first 5 minutes of that meeting that we weren't there to negotiate an end to the protest. After about an hour and a half of talking, Bob McNair says, I think the elephant in the room is this protesting. Terry Pagula follows up with, yeah, I've already lost 2 sponsors for my hockey team. We need to put a Band-Aid on this, and we need a black figurehead to do it. It's the Eagles owner's name. Lurie says, we can do more for the black community than you can ever imagine with our resources. Bob McNair then says, yeah, just make sure you tell your comrades to stop that protesting business. So we leave that meeting. We reestablished internally, the people that were involved with the Players Coalition, that we weren't negotiating an end to the protest. The NFL said they wanted to use its resources to help the black community, so I was fine with giving my opinion on how they could do that. That changed the last week of November when Malcolm called me on the phone and asked if the NFL made a donation to the Players Coalition, would that be enough for me to stop protesting? he said that they were willing to do $5 million. And I told him, no, we've already established for the 2 times prior to this that we weren't negotiating and into the process. He then asked me, well, how much would it take? So I ended that conversation. I reported back to the other players what he said to me, and at that point we removed ourselves from the player coalition. That weekend, Malcolm stopped protesting. He said that it was time for everybody to stop protesting. He didn't protest the rest of the year. The following May, the NFL and the Players Coalition finalized and announced their deal. And within 24 hours of that, the NFL changed the policy on the national anthem, requiring everybody to stand. So those series of events are not a coincidence. The NFL used him to change the anthem policy to force it into the protest to satisfy its sponsors, like Terry Pagula mentioned, and probably also to satisfy the President of the United States.
Etan, he laid that thing out.
Yeah. He said a lot.
He sold out.
And you have to understand the passion that he has and what he feels about what he was doing. You know, it's not something that he looked at as an opportunity to further. You know, this is the thing. I interviewed different people from the Players Coalition. I interviewed Anquan Bolden. I have a lot of respect for him. You know, he talked about why he got into activism in the first place.
Right.
Talked about seeing his cousin being killed by the police and hearing it and talking to him on the phone why his cousin's being killed. Interviewed Eric Reid, and he's talking about why he's passionate. So they both have passions and are pure as far as to why they're doing this. I think they have different views of how to handle the NFL wanting to insert themselves and react to the protests.
Which, let me say this right now, is no different than when SNCC differed with MLK, who differed with the NAACP, who differed from CORE, who differed from others. What they did was they got in a room, they sorted those issues out and said, how then do we move forward? The thing that was interesting here, Spencer, was when Eric began to break down how the NFL would say, oh, no. In order for this to happen, we're going to limit how much each player gives. He's like, wait a minute, hold up. How are you going to limit me to $5,000 if I want to give $25,000? And so it was as if the NFL was like, no. If you want this money, that all these different strings and restrictions where they, in essence, were determining.
It's kind of the puppeteer type of thing, still in control. And, you know, these brothers still stepped up to the plate and said, hey, we're going to do our thing and we want some real freedom. We're not just kind of being the marionette. And
I think, Teresa, when you listen to Eric Reid lay this out, and we have not heard Malcolm Jenkins come out to dispute any of what Eric Reid said. He hasn't said, okay, let me correct the record. That's an issue, because when you listen to Eric talk about how they were going to limit this and limit this and this, and we're going to take it from breast cancer and shift it over here, basically they were just playing a little shell game, 3-card money.
So in Malcolm Jenkins' defense, he pick and chose a battle he believed at the time he could win. And at that time, it was the financial gain. And I think it's actually a lesson to all of the players, you know, if the NFL is going to limit the amount that you can spend to donations, what personal wealth have you been saving or investing, where when they start pulling those strings, they are no longer tied to that and they can just have free will.
But see, this case here, Etan, go ahead.
But it was fool's gold. And what they were trying to do, they were going to twist it and use the media to say, see, they wanted us to take away from breast cancer awareness. I guarantee you that's what they would have done. They would have showed, like, everybody's just hearing that that's where it's going to come from. I guarantee you the NFL would have put that out there. They said that they wanted us to divest from some of these other places that everybody is for. You know what I mean? To be able to and make the NFL look like they were so, you know, trying to work with them.
So basically, if somebody came in here and they said, okay, Roland, I'm a match a gift on how much your panelists give. Okay. And if it's 5 of us. So we say, okay, fine. We're going to give 50 grand. And I say, I'm going to give 25 of that 50 grand, and then y'all make up the rest. Outside person said, no, Roland. You can't give 25. You can only give 75. The rest got to come from everybody else, which is ridiculous, because what Eric said is that essentially the amount of money they would have to get $5 grand from nearly every player on every NFL team to match the amount the league was given. Why should you care if one player gives 50 or 75 or 100 or $1 million? Why?
So they can say, look, we tried and they didn't do their part.
Yeah.
They put an offer on the
they're
table.
Playing chess, not checkers. So they're trying to.
You're creating the rules.
Right.
You're controlling the narrative.
Yeah.
You're controlling everything. And yes, if it didn't work, we did our best. They turned their backs on $80 million.
Right.
I thought it was supposed to be $100 million last year.
Well,
it was supposed to be $100 million. Mm-hmm. And even then, I looked at it as like, you know, when you broke it down, I think it came out like $2 million a team. And
over 5 years.
It was over 5 years.
Right.
So it came out like $2 million a team. And these teams make more than that on Sunday concessions.
Right.
So it was nothing. And
it was all about, can y'all just shut the hell up?
It was.
Stop protesting. And that's what the whole deal is.
Absolutely.
Etan, final comment.
And another part that really bothered Eric Reid was there was no mention of Kaepernick not being blackballed. And that they wanted that to be something that was in there. So like, wait, so Kaepernick's still going to be blackballed, and we're still going to go
actually
whiteballed. Whiteballed. I'm sorry. and we're still going to go along, and that's just going to be okay. And he felt almost that they just kind of pushed him to the side.
Yes.
Now, that's not to say that the Players Coalition hasn't done a lot of great things. Mm-hmm. They've been here in D.C. lobbying for laws to be changed. They do a lot of criminal justice reform. They do a lot of good things. So I don't want to not say that. But as far as Eric Reid is concerned, the way that it went about, I can understand why he's upset.
And I also know some people who are very upset that there are 3 white women who are running the Players Coalition.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just letting you know. I'm just letting you know. That's what, and I saw it personally when I was on the panel with them at the Super Bowl in Houston.
Hey, Roland,
yes.
What's the name of the book, and where do we get it?
That's what I'm about to do. I got you.
Okay. I'm just trying to look out.
I got this. Just keep your ass over there. I picked the damn thing up, and unbeknownst to you, the control room, I can hear them say, pull the graphic up. We got this, Spencer.
All right.
Damn. But why don't your ass go ahead and say it since you want to go ahead and do it? Go on, hold the book up since you look at that camera right there. No, look right there.
Right here. So where do we get this book?
Damn it, tell them the name of he wrote it in the name of the book.
We Matter.
Athletes and activism.
Look at the camera when you doing it. Since you want to do it.
Athletes and Activism, We Matter.
That ain't it. The book is called We Matter, Athletes. Do it right. Do it again. Oh, hell no. Y'all, the book written by Etan Thomas. It is We Matter, Athletes and Activism in bookstores now. Get it online as well. Go support your black bookstore. All right, y'all, last story before I got to get out of here. Another crazy white woman. Y'all know these white women losing their damn mind. I don't know what's going on with them. They must be on the same stuff as Kanye. On October 19th, a drunk white woman, Susan Westwood, harassed 2 sisters in a North Carolina apartment parking lot, threatened women with a gun. Then they decided to call the police on Westwood. Y'all got the video? Yeah. Press play.
I'm still going to make $125,000. I'm still going to make $125,000 Monday morning. Who are you? Do you live here?
No, I'm not going anywhere. I'm not going anywhere.
Is your boyfriend here? Is your baby daddy here? Nobody cares. I'm white and I'm hot.
I don't know, but you're harassing us.
I need to bring out my concealed weapon too. This is North Carolina, by the way.
Parking lot Susie. She's been evicted from her apartment, and she lost her job.
But she's still gonna make hundreds of thousands of dollars on Monday.
Okay.
Allegedly.
And this is real quick. I'm about to do a PSA for all crazy white women in America. Every time y'all talk, your ass gonna be on TV. We got Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Tumblr, we got Snapchat, we got all of it. Your ass gonna be on TV. And we gonna make you famous. Now here's the deal. If every crazy white woman act a fool and lose their job, we could wipe out black unemployment. So I think what we should do is for every crazy white woman who lose her job, we should then send 20 black people in to apply for the job because we know one just opened up because the crazy white woman just got fired. And so here's the deal. To all the crazy white women, if y'all want to help really lower the black unemployment rate, please keep acting a fool and cussing out black people because guess what? This clearly is about to be the greatest job creator for black people in America, courtesy of crazy white women. Thank you very much. All right, y'all. Be sure to support Roland Martin Unfiltered by joining our Bring the Funk fan club. Go to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. We want y'all to join our goal to get 20,000 of our fans to contribute a minimum of $50 for the year. We're going to have discounts and all kinds of stuff available for you by being a part of our fan club. So become a charter member today. So please support us. Also, if you're watching any of our clips from the show, go to YouTube, because here's the deal. We get more money from YouTube than we do Facebook, and we won't get nothing from Periscope and Twitter. So it's a good bet. I'm not going to be broadcasting the show on Periscope until they learn to give content creators some money. So Twitter and Periscope, I advise y'all to do that, or brother's going to bounce. So go support us at youtube.com/Roland S. Martin. All right, folks. St. Augustine's, I hope y'all appreciate me rocking y'all hoodie. We're going to have another one next week, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Ben Jealous running for mayor of Maryland, governor of Maryland. He's going to be on the show tomorrow. And Aaron Ford, who's running for Attorney General in Nevada, also on the show tomorrow. Appreciate it. Derek, Teresa, Spencer, who want to be the damn show host, as well as Etan. Thanks a bunch. Y'all don't forget to get his book. Again, We Matter, Athletes and Activism. And Spencer, buy y'all damn copy, because you ain't getting this. I got to go. Holla.
Had a good time.